Okay, guys, here's our classifying triangles lesson. So, most of this is just making sure we understand some basic or some vocabulary. So, some of this may be reviewed from fourth grade for you, and some of it will be new. Okay, so when we classify triangles, it's basically just giving them a certain name and putting them in a certain group based off of so different things about the triangles. The two things we look at when we classify triangles is they can be classified by the length of their sides. So we look specifically how long are their sides, and by the measure of their angles. So that is looking at are their angles more than 90 degrees, or less than 90 degrees. And triangles, since we look at two things, we look at sides and angles. We can give triangles two names, one based off of their sides and one based off of their angles. And like I said, one name describes their sides, and then the other name describes their angles. Now, it may have been a while since you've looked at angles, so let's do a quick angle review. We have three different types of angles that we're going to see in triangles, or just in general. One angle is called acute angle. So, an acute angle will look like this. It'll be anything smaller, less than 90 degrees. So I just remember acute angle it has a small measure, so it's less than 90 degrees. It's like a little cute angle. It's small, so you call it an acute angle. All right, your next type of angle is called a right angle, and right angles, trying to draw one pretty good. Right angles will look almost like an L. It could be backwards or upside down, but it will have that L shape. And a lot of times it'll have this little, I'll put it in yellow. So it'll have a kind of this little drawing right here to show a symbol to show that it's 90 degrees. So a right angle is equal to 90 degrees. So it's going to equal, you can say equals 90. So an acute angle would be anything smaller than this. So imagine your angle doesn't open up as much as the right angle. It's smaller. All right, last one is an obtuse angle. So obtuse angles, oops, I'm still on the yellow. An obtuse angle opens up more than 90 degrees. So it has a measure of more than 90 degrees. So you're going to want to memorize these and know an acute is an angle that's less than 90 degrees. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees, and an obtuse angle is more than 90 degrees. So just make sure you want to have those memorized if you don't already. All right, we can also look at triangles by their sides. So we have right here a scalene triangle. So scalene means that none of your sides are congruent. So zero congruent sides. And remember, congruent means that these are congruent means two things are equal in length or measure or shape or size. Well, equal in size, length, or angle. So scalene has zero congruent sides, so none of the sides are equal to the others. They're all different. We have isosceles. Isosceles has two congruent sides. And remember, I try to mention in class that these little lines through your triangles or through your shapes in general tell you that two sides are congruent. So I know that this side and this side are congruent. I don't know if this side down here is congruent because it doesn't have a line through it. It may look congruent, but we're going to go based off of the lines. So an isosceles triangle has two congruent sides. So if you have an isosceles, you know two sides are congruent. Okay, and then equilateral. This one is, for me, the easiest one to remember because it says equal, right? And that tells me all three sides are congruent, so they're the same length, they're all equal. So an equilateral triangle has three congruent sides. So again, this is classifying triangles. You know, if you look at a triangle and it has zero congruent sides, it's called a scalene triangle. If you look at a triangle and it has two congruent sides, it's called isosceles. And if you look at a triangle and it has all three congruent sides, you're going to say it's equilateral. Okay, now that's one way we can give a name. We can also name triangles based on their angle. So we have an acute triangle right here. Acute triangle means all of its angles, if we look at all of the angles where the lines or the sides come together, they're going to form all angles that are less than 90 degrees. That's what an acute angle is, right? Less than 90 degrees. And notice all of these are acute. None of them open up more than 90 degrees. So this is an acute angle. All right, the next one, this one's a right triangle. How do I know it's a right triangle? Well, anytime if a triangle has a right angle, it's automatically a right triangle. So this one would be a right angle. So if you're looking for one right angle, and if it has it, it's automatically a right triangle. And then a right triangle will also have two acute angles. But automatically, when you see a triangle with a right angle, it's automatically a right triangle. If it doesn't have a right angle, it's never going to be a right triangle. All right, and then last one, it kind of follows the same rule. This is called an obtuse triangle. Anytime a triangle has an obtuse angle, it's automatically a obtuse triangle. So, and then an obtuse triangle will also have two acute angles. So really what you're looking for your angles, saying does it have an obtuse angle? No or yes. If it does, it's obtuse. Does it have a right angle? No or yes. If it does, then it's a right triangle. If it doesn't have a right or obtuse, it's acute. It's going to only have acute angles then. So that'll be your lesson. Right here, these 6 words, I'll highlight them. Scalene, isosceles, equilateral, an acute, right, and obtuse angles. Those guys, y'all need to have those memorized. They are going to be words that you just need to read and see and be familiar with and know what they mean. Okay? So that's going to be the lesson for today. Make sure you go ahead and work on your practice. That'll be it for today.